Tiffany Henyard, the current mayor of Dolton. Henyard has made headlines after filing multiple lawsuits against officials from Thornton Township and Dolton, accusing them of political misconduct, mismanagement, and deliberate attempts to undermine her governance. These lawsuits are not just about political rivalry. They speak to a much larger issue of accountability, transparency, and the proper functioning of local government. In today's video, we'll explore Henyard's background, the details of the lawsuits, the political climate in Dolton, and the judicial system's role in resolving this controversy. To understand the weight of these lawsuits, it's important to first take a look at Tiffany Henyard herself. Henyard has been known for her strong stance on governmental transparency and accountability. She has always presented herself as a leader who wants to change the status quo. In her campaigns, she promised to fight corruption and to make sure that public resources were used efficiently for the benefit of the people. Her push for transparency and good governance has not been well received by everyone, though. Many traditional power players in Dolton and Thornton Township have viewed her as a disruptor, a challenge to their established ways of doing things. Henyard's commitment to reform has made her a target for criticism and opposition from those entrenched in the local political system. Since taking office as mayor of Dolton, Henyard has faced significant pushback from some members of the local government, particularly in Thornton Township, where political tensions have simmered for years. These tensions came to a head with the filing of several lawsuits against local officials, accusing them of political obstruction and misconduct. Henyard has claimed that these officials have used their positions to block her efforts to improve public services, often citing personal or political reasons instead of prioritizing the needs of the community. At the core of Henyard's legal actions are allegations that certain officials have engaged in corruption, misusing public funds, and hindering vital projects meant to improve the community. Henyard's team has pointed to instances of public money being funneled into private, often politically motivated projects. She believes these actions have robbed Dolton residents of vital services and opportunities that could have improved their lives. From road repairs to educational programs, Henyard argues that critical resources were redirected away from these projects, damaging the community and undermining trust in local government. The heart of Henyard's lawsuit is a claim of political obstruction. She argues that certain officials have intentionally worked against her administration's key initiatives. This has led to delays in projects that could have brought economic growth, new jobs, and better infrastructure to Dolton. Henyard's critics, however, argue that she is overreacting to standard political opposition and using lawsuits as a tool to distract from her own shortcomings in office. For Henyard, these legal battles represent a larger fight against a system she views as corrupt, and she believes that bringing these issues to court will set an important precedent for accountability. The lawsuits Henyard has filed are more than just personal disputes. They touch on systemic issues in local governance. By pursuing legal action, Henyard is challenging not only individual misconduct, but also the broader culture of political favoritism and corruption that she claims has hindered Dolton for years. Henyard wants to make it clear that public officials should be held accountable for their actions, particularly when their decisions impact the livelihoods of ordinary citizens. The specifics of the allegations in the lawsuits are serious. Henyard's legal team has pointed to a number of cases where officials allegedly diverted public funds meant for community development into projects with little to no benefit for the public. According to her lawsuits, the funds were instead directed to private entities that had political connections with certain local leaders. Henyard argues that this is an example of how local politicians exploit their positions for personal gain at the expense of the very people they are meant to serve. Additionally, Henyard has argued that these officials have hindered or blocked initiatives that could have brought economic improvement to Dolton. For example, she alleges that attempts to bring new businesses into the area, create jobs, and improve public services were stalled or intentionally obstructed by some officials. This obstruction, according to Henyard, was politically motivated and aimed at diminishing her power and undermining her leadership. These are not merely disputes about policy or governance. Henyard views her lawsuits as a matter of public duty, fighting for the future of Dolton. Her goal is to ensure that local officials put the needs of their communities above their own political ambitions. The lawsuits are, in her view, a necessary action to restore accountability to the local government and demonstrate that there are real consequences for those who misuse the public trust. While Henyard's lawsuits have garnered significant attention and support from her constituents, they have also faced criticism. Her opponents claim that the lawsuits are politically charged, designed to discredit her rivals and distract from her own governance. These critics argue that Dolton's problems cannot be solved by court cases and legal battles, but through direct action in the community, such as addressing crime, improving infrastructure, and creating jobs. They believe that Henyard's focus on lawsuits could divide the community and make it harder to solve these pressing issues. The legal process is likely to be lengthy and complicated, with no guarantees of success for either side. But Henyard is determined to push forward, convinced that the stakes are too high to back down. This political drama has raised broader questions about the effectiveness of the judicial system in holding local officials accountable and whether it is an appropriate venue for resolving political disputes. The legal system plays a crucial role in this battle. Henyard's lawsuits are now in the hands of the judiciary, which must assess the evidence, listen to arguments from both sides, and determine the validity of the claims. Judges will need to make impartial decisions based on the facts presented, and their rulings could have long-lasting implications for local politics in Dolton and Thornton Township. If Henyard's legal team successfully proves that the accused officials engaged in misconduct, it could set a significant precedent for future legal actions against public officials. However, if the lawsuits are dismissed or ruled in favor of the defendants, it could result in a blow to Henyard's credibility and political capital. Her critics would use such a ruling to claim that she was using the court system for political gain and that her leadership is being undermined by her legal strategy. It could also discourage other public servants from pursuing legal action in the future, making it harder to challenge corruption or mismanagement in local government. The potential political impact of these lawsuits is enormous. If Henyard prevails, she could cement her status as a reformist leader dedicated to transparency and accountability. Such a victory could empower her to push forward with the initiatives she believes are necessary to improve the lives of Dolton residents. It could also inspire other leaders in similar positions to challenge the status quo and demand more from their local governments. On the other hand, a failure in court could significantly damage her political reputation and make it harder for her to maintain the support of voters who want results, not legal battles. In the end, these lawsuits represent far more than just the legal battles between Tiffany Henyard and the officials of Dolton and Thornton Township. They are emblematic of the larger question that often plagues local governments: can political leaders be held accountable for their actions, or will entrenched systems of power continue to protect those who fail to serve their communities? Henyard's lawsuits have become a symbolic fight for integrity and transparency in governance, where the future of Dolton and Thornton Township is at stake. If the courts rule in Henyard's favor, it could signal a major shift in local political dynamics, sending a message that even those in positions of power are not above the law. If, however, the lawsuits are dismissed or ruled in favor of the defendants, it might signal a reinforcement of the status quo, where political connections and old systems of power hold sway over the public's trust. What Henyard is up against is not just a few individuals. She is challenging a deeply rooted political establishment that, in her view, has grown complacent and, in some cases, corrupt. Her legal battles go beyond personal grievances. They speak to a fundamental need for systemic change. Henyard's actions represent a larger struggle for all of Dolton's residents to reclaim their local government and ensure that it serves them rather than the narrow interests of a few. She is demanding accountability from leaders who have, in her view, misused public resources and failed to act in the best interests of the community. This is a fight that could have profound implications for how local governments function in the future, especially in smaller communities like Dolton and Thornton Township. As we continue to watch this story unfold, we cannot ignore the tension that is building around it. Will this legal struggle lead to long overdue reforms that empower citizens and give them a stronger voice in local governance? Or will it further fracture an already divided political landscape, making it harder for officials to work together for the common good? Henyard's quest for justice could open the door to greater transparency and accountability in local government, but it could also deepen the political rifts between those who support her vision and those who are aligned with the current leadership. This is an issue that could shape the future of local politics for years to come, and the ultimate outcome may not just impact Dolton and Thornton Township. It could serve as a blueprint for other communities dealing with similar issues of political corruption and leadership failure. The broader implications of Henyard's case are vast. If Henyard prevails, it could set a new precedent for how local governments handle corruption, how officials are held accountable, and how future mayors and elected leaders view their roles. A successful outcome for Henyard could inspire other local leaders across the nation to take more proactive steps in addressing the issues of political favoritism and misuse of public funds. It could even encourage residents to become more involved in local governance, knowing that their concerns can lead to real change and that their leaders are held to the highest ethical standards. But the opposite outcome, if the courts dismiss Henyard's claims or rule in favor of the accused officials, could have an equally significant impact, albeit in a different direction. It could reinforce the idea that local politics are often dominated by powerful interests, with public officials acting more in their own favor than in the public's. A ruling in favor of the status quo would likely embolden other officials who may be engaged in similar practices, knowing that their actions may not be scrutinized or penalized. For Henyard, such a defeat could be a major setback, not just politically but personally, as it could undermine her message of transparency and reform. A ruling that favors her opponents could weaken her position and make it more difficult for her to push forward with her reform agenda. The court's role in this legal struggle is central to its resolution. Judges will be tasked with carefully weighing the evidence, assessing the credibility of the claims, and ultimately making a decision that could either reshape local politics or reinforce existing power structures. The legal process will be critical in determining whether there is a foundation for Henyard's claims or if the political system in Dolton is indeed as corrupt as she suggests. The courts must operate impartially and ensure that justice is served, but given the highly charged political atmosphere surrounding these lawsuits, the implications of the outcome will be far-reaching. For residents of Dolton, the unfolding of this legal drama means that they may soon be faced with a difficult question. What kind of community do they want to live in? Will they support a mayor who is fighting for change, or will they choose to maintain the established political system that has governed the area for decades? In this case, the people of Dolton are not just passive observers. They are participants in the outcome. Their voices, through elections, public opinion, and community engagement, will play a significant role in determining the future of local politics. Henyard's political future, too, is closely tied to how the community reacts to these lawsuits and whether they believe she is fighting for the right causes or simply causing division for personal gain. As we wait for further developments in this case, we are reminded that the legal process takes time, and there are many twists and turns yet to come. Henyard's legal team will continue to present their case, the defendants will prepare their defenses, and ultimately, the judges will have the final say. The impact of this case will likely ripple through Dolton, influencing local governance and setting a precedent for how local political disputes are resolved in the future. Thank you for sticking with us throughout this deep dive into Tiffany Henyard's legal struggles and their implications for Dolton and Thornton Township. We hope this video gave you a better understanding of the complexities surrounding this case and its potential consequences. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with the latest developments. We'd want to hear from you. Do you think Henyard's lawsuits will lead to the changes she envisions, or will they simply deepen the political divide in Dolton? Your thoughts and opinions are crucial, and we encourage you to share them in the comments below. That's all for today's video. If you found this breakdown of Tiffany Henyard's legal battles insightful, don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with others who might be interested. Your support helps us bring more important stories like this to you. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications so you never miss an update. We'll be following this case closely and will bring you the latest developments as they unfold. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.